Take a deep breath, everybody. Everything will be okay, I promise.
But do you really know? Do you really know?
Welcome to Street Scores. It's your boy Rico, bringing y'all a regular season edition of Redskins Report. Today's topic, why you shouldn't give up on Dwayne Haskins. Nothing but facts, quite a bit of opinions, some history, and some future outlook. Let's get it. Point 1. Haskins has very little experience. Haskins has only played 3/4 of NFL football after only starting 1 year of college football, which is where he broke some records, including one of Drew Brees'. He only has 22 career throws total in the NFL, completely, all. Him becoming a starter so sporadically isn't healthy at all for his development. He has 4 ugly interceptions, especially the one he just threw against the Vikings.
Got it. 2nd down and 6. Haskins too high and now picked.
And no touchdowns to even try to make up for it in the stat sheet, but it's the product of his lack of experience and a myriad of other factors. Not only does the backup quarterback, as in Haskins, barely get reps at all in practice throughout the week every week because there's not enough time in the week to just give everybody as many reps as they need. But when the backup does get reps, he's not getting many, if any, starting team reps. So the reps don't hold as much value. He's not gaining chemistry with the better wide receivers, and most importantly, the best one on the team, Scary Terry.
Help me!
But most importantly, in my opinion, he's not getting starting reps against the starting defense. The faster, more athletic, smarter, more experienced, more nuanced, overall more talented defensive players that will make him a better quarterback. Dwayne Haskins throwing against Troy Apke, Fabian Moreau, Jeremy Reeves, and Aaron Colvin is not preparing him to go against Xavier Rhodes, Harrison Smith, and company.
Facts, bro.
Climbing the pocket, moving in the pocket, and feeling pressure against Trayvon Hester, Ryan Anderson, Noah Spence, and company is not preparing him for Danielle Hunter, Linval Joseph, Everson Griffin and company.
Facts.
Practicing how to read a Greg Minuski-led 2nd and 3rd string defense is not preparing him for a George Edwards-led top 5 Vikings starting defense.
Facts.
Even if Haskins was just some magical prodigy, the Redskins have not prepared him for success at all.
Okay? And that's on a period.
Throwing windows are smaller against the Vikings starting defense than the Redskins backup defense. He has less time in the pocket to make good decisions and accurate throws against the Vikings starting defense than the Redskins backup defense. Pre-snap reads, decision making, protection sliding, audibling is far more complicated against the Vikings starting defense than the Redskins backup defense. Y'all see my point? I can go on for hours and hours about how different what Dwayne Haskins is preparing against in practice is from what he is being thrown to play against mid-game. Y'all can't possibly expect him to just go out there and ball out. I hoped it, but definitely didn't expect it. The Redskins will never get a great product out of Haskins until they invest in him with greatness. Simple. Point 2. What help has he had? Like Mike Golick said, who the hell is working with this guy?
I hope the world can see now what's really going on out here, because it's getting ridiculous.
Jay Gruden, who obviously didn't want him, was in charge of developing Haskins and getting him ready to be an NFL quarterback. And he spent most of his time, focus, and effort making sure Case Keenum was set up to succeed. Then, when Keenum got hurt, Colt was the focus and the one who got the first team reps and all of the attention and help. Then Jay Gruden was fired, and then Bill Callahan and Kevin O'Connell spent most of their time getting Colt right. And then they spent most of their time getting Keenum right.
I just don't get it.
Reps, time, focus, game planning, playbook. I've seen a lot of reports from people inside the organization and close to it that have admitted that Haskins has had little to no coaching. Get him some of that, and he should be straight and eventually great. And also, as far as help goes, while Pat Mahomes had Alex Smith to sit behind and learn from up close, while Steve Young had Joe Montana, while Aaron Rodgers had Brett Favre, Dwayne Haskins has Case Keenum and Colt McCoy. And if anything, Haskins may actually be better off not even being near them and building bad habits or catching the disease that they got. The suck. It might be contagious. I do not want Haskins watching Colt or Keenum from the sideline and taking notes too much. He admittingly can learn some things from them, but not too much. Especially since Haskins' arm strength is on another level from them two. so he can play a completely different game. Like for example, because he has so much zip on the ball, he can get it to receivers quicker than Keenum even if they throw the ball at the exact same time. So Haskins may watch Keenum rush to get the ball out of his hands at times, when Haskins may not necessarily have to do it in certain situations. Haskins may be able to just let the play develop a little bit longer, let the receiver get a little bit deeper in his route, and then zip it to him, which is something Haskins will not learn while watching Keenum go out there and throw them occasional rush throws and them usual ducks. Point 3 for why you shouldn't give up on Haskins. There are plenty of examples of legends having ugly first seasons, or more, starting with the great Troy Aikman.
Boo this man!
As my first example, he threw 9 touchdowns and 18 interceptions in his first season. He also went on to throw 11 touchdowns and 18 interceptions in his second season. Still terrible, but at least there was some improvement. The legendary Peyton Manning threw 3 interceptions with only 1 touchdown his first ever game in the NFL. He did it again the very next game, and then the next game he threw 2 interceptions with no touchdowns the very next game. And then he went back to throwing 3 interceptions with 1 touchdown again the very next game. He ended the season with 26 touchdowns and 28 interceptions, which actually shows he improved a lot once he got adjusted to the game with reps, coaching time, all of that. He made all kinds of mistakes and learned from them over the course of a season.
Exactly.
And he still made all of the mistakes even after getting all of them starting reps in practice all off season and throughout the preseason and regular season. Haskins has gotten at most a week worth of first team reps all preseason and regular season.
Wow.
And he was splitting first team reps with 2 other quarterbacks throughout the whole off season. Peyton Manning was the man the day he was drafted and was given first team reps day 1. And even more recently, people were all on Lamar Jackson's head last year, even after waiting to start till week 10 and sitting behind a quarterback to learn. He went out there and looked like he just started throwing and reading defenses for the first time in his life. And by the end of the season, he still didn't show much progress. Anything real noticeable at least. People still looked at him as a running back going into this season, like the Ravens were just running Wildcat all game for 7 games in 2018. But after having an entire offseason with first team reps, and they did this magical thing, this unspeakable thing, I mean, they opened up Pandora's box. They built an offense around Lamar Jackson's talent, skills, and weaknesses. Not only did Lamar get better at throwing and decision making with time and reps, which Haskins hasn't had yet, but he also has an offense, a package, a scheme centered around his talent, skills, and weaknesses. Which is also something Haskins doesn't have yet at all. How is Haskins supposed to show Lamar Jackson, who just outdueled MVP frontrunner Russell Wilson, level of efficiency and production without the time, reps, or offense built around him? How?
How, Sway?
And even more personal to us, Kirk Cousins. Y'all remember back in 2013 and 2014, most people, including the Redskins fan base, were all screaming that Kirk Cousins is a backup at best. And he did look like one at first for a while. But then Jay Gruden made the executive decision to focus on developing Kirk and forming a playbook around what would bring out the best Kirk Cousins. And Kirk Cousins doesn't even remotely have the same ceiling as Haskins. Cousins doesn't have a very strong arm, even though it is pretty strong, actually quite underrated. But it's still not even in the stratosphere of Haskins' arm. Haskins also has a more athletic body that can take much more punishment, even though we shouldn't abuse it, because then he can get Cam Newton. But he can stand in the pocket and take a hit better than Kirk ever could just off of size alone. Now Kirk is out here making $80 million guaranteed.
What's your money on your shoes?
I walk to the money.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? Money on my watch. Time is money.
Eating. And dotting us up for 285 yards, completing 23 of his 26 passes just a few days ago.
Mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. Like,
Kirk even looked awful the first half of this season. Kirk has Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen. Haskins only has just got out there Terry McLaurin. But then the Vikings sat down and figured out how to set Kirk Cousins up for success, and it worked. Cousins didn't just suddenly have an epiphany and figure out all of this on his own. He had a front office and a coaching staff fully behind him, and also better talent, which takes me to a later point. We're going to get right to that after this. And this next set of examples hits home real hard. The Redskins already have a history of quarterbacks struggling in the beginning of their careers and leading the Redskins to Super Bowl victories. Joe Theismann spent 3 years in the Canadian League, and then he came to the NFL, spent 5 years not even being the franchise quarterback, just sitting back watching and learning, and then he finally got handed the keys, and he had 4 bad to average seasons as the franchise quarterback. And then he finally had an average season when he made the Pro Bowl, and then he finally had a good season, and the Redskins won the 1983 Super Bowl. But y'all want to give up on Haskins after less than 30 throws? Mark Rippon and Doug Williams also started their careers off pretty bad to average, and eventually won Super Bowls with the Redskins.
That's what we've been waiting for!
And further into the future, even though this may not be the most likely fate that we're headed towards, the 1998 Redskins started off 0-7, and not just any 0-7, like getting Diddy bopped. Like scores 10-31, 10-45, 7-41, like getting thrashed. Even worse than how we're losing this year by far. And then they went into the bye week in week 8 and came back and won 6 of their final 9 games. And it didn't lead to a playoff berth, of course, with a 6-10 record to finish the season. But it showed the Redskins and everybody else really that the Redskins can actually be a serious team going into the 1999 offseason.
Hello, let's celebrate that.
And they ended up winning the division with a 10-6 record the very next year.
Hey. Look at us.
Look at us. Huh? Who would have thought?
Not me.
So you never know. Maybe if Haskins finally gets everything he's owed from the coaching staff and front office, he can probably have us looking like a respectable team out here for the rest of the season, carrying a bunch of positive momentum into the offseason. If Haskins and the Redskins can find their formula to win, even if it's as late as the last game of the season, that can prove to be very beneficial next year and for the future, providing a blueprint for us to win games, and more specific to Dwayne Haskins, providing a blueprint for how he should play quarterback.
Exactly.
Now back to my point that I was making when I was talking about Kirk Cousins having Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs. Another reason we shouldn't give up on Haskins yet is because look at the team around him. The same Case Keenum that led the Vikings to the NFC Championship just a couple of years ago is the same Case Keenum that barely beat the clearly tanking Dolphins. Case Keenum is still the same guy. It's just the team around him. That shows how great that year's Vikings roster was in comparison to this 2019 Redskins roster, coaching staff, and front office.
Tragic.
Dwayne Haskins doesn't have much help. Terry McLaurin is the only thing great in the receiving core. Jordan Reed and Vernon Davis are still hurt, especially Jordan Reed, who's on IR.
Some guys have all the luck.
The offensive line let Nas down both games that Haskins came in at times. And don't get me wrong, Haskins isn't perfect. He's not even good yet, but he can be, and I believe he will be. And even when he becomes great, if he does, and it's on a roster like this, how much will it matter? How many games can he actually win, even when he plays well? And now my final point, where do the Redskins need to go from here?
Good question.
I keep hearing Dwayne Haskins isn't ready. Well then Redskins, get him ready. That's what y'all get paid millions for. Get the coaching. The Redskins need to get Dwayne Haskins in a room and ask him what plays in the Redskins offense he's already grasped and are comfortable with so far, and add it to the list. Then bring in Scary Terry, who looks like the best player on the team right now, because any input from him is worth listening to. Bring them both in, so both of them can discuss what they both love from Ohio State, and add some of that to the list. And then design an offense around those plays and add more plays as Haskins progresses throughout this season. That's what practice and team meetings are for. And as a suggestion, spread everything out with our receiving group that collectively are only good at one thing for sure, and that's running fast. Give Haskins short, quick, easy throws, set that up as the base of the playbook, and then grow from there. But no matter what, include some concepts of spreading the defense out, and utilize the young speed we have on this team and Haskins' strong arm. Also, get Kelvin Harmon involved more and target McLaurin more. I don't understand why McLaurin might have 1 or 2 targets by halftime.
I'm just disgusted.
Also, get more creative with Steven Sims. Now, of course, the NFL looks like it's moving a mile a minute for Haskins, but coach him up, Give him reps so he can get comfortable and learn from mistakes early, because like my mommy says, fail fast. Get the mistakes out the way early so he can be great later. If he doesn't get quality reps or plays too passive in the beginning, he'll never learn from mistakes, and instead of making them early, he'll make them later, which will cost us even more. And now in conclusion, I know he's been inaccurate. I know he's been bad pre-snap and indecisive post-snap. I know he hasn't had great pocket movement. I know he's been inconsistent with his footwork and throwing technique. I know he doesn't know how to read defenses well yet. This is all because he's very young and inexperienced. He will take time. I don't think he will take as much time as most people feel, but he will definitely take some time, coaching, reps, and maturing. I'm hearing that people are getting a too cool for school vibe from him, but I don't feel that way. To me, it looks like he's just super anxious to be unleashed. And then also, people are complaining about him being not entirely focused on football because he has a business here, a website there.
The money, y'all. There's poor people around.
I loved it. And also, the last thing I'm going to say, this is his team right now. Build around him. This is not Case Keenum or Colt McCoy's team. Give him till the end of this year and next season at the very least to see what we have. Give him all of the coaching, all of the reps, and get some talent around him, as in receivers, tight ends, and offensive line. He needs these pieces to succeed. And anyway, even with as good injury-ridden Tua is, all the physical traits Justin Herbert is, and the very promising Joe Burrow may possibly be, I'd prefer to have Haskins and Chase Young over one of those quarterbacks and whatever weak, non-15th overall pick value we would get for trading away Haskins for anyway. Haskins has a far higher chance of being as good or better than those quarterbacks I just listed than the pick we get in return for trading away Haskins being as good or better than Chase Young. It's just that simple for me. And besides, with how bad the Redskins set him up to look these past two games, I mean, these last two attempts we've thrown him out there, what trade value do you think we can even get for him? If you really want to move on from Haskins, then you want him to go out there and at least look some type of good right now. So even if we share completely different long-term goals for this Haskins situation, we all share a common short-term goal, which is setting him up to look good this season at least. For me, I want him to become our Hall of Fame franchise quarterback. Y'all want him to become a high draft pick. Either way, we need him to look good this season, or even look good the rest of this season and next season. And if it just doesn't work out and it looks like there's no hope, move on. Go get Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence, who both have more potential than any of these quarterbacks coming out this coming draft anyway. But honestly, from the tape he put out in college, I see a quarterback that has a lot of potential to be great and bring us some Super Bowls if the Redskins just do right by him. Now, before we get up out of here, I want to show y'all some funny tweets I've seen about this situation out here. I just felt like it would be something to throw out there. And there's some truth to them too. So without further ado, here you go. But that's it for this regular season episode edition of Redskins Report. Thanks for the view. I'm going to keep bringing y'all updates on the Redskins year round. I'm going to bring y'all some Redskins reports, some debate topics like this, mock drafts, interesting views, rankings, and grades on the team, random details and guides, game previews and reviews, and of course some live streams. Make sure y'all get in them comments and let me know. How do y'all feel about this Dwayne Haskins situation? Do you feel like he has the right situation around him? Do you want him to be great? Or are you ready to move on? Also, make sure y'all actually, I just seen the movie with my mommy. That's a good movie. It was way better than I expected. I like that movie a lot. But anyway, make sure y'all Dolomite fake punch that like button, favorite, subscribe. I'll subscribe back, and most importantly, comment and share. And again, thank y'all for the support. Please donate if you got it. I'm trying to get a new laptop so the stream can be way better. This video quality will improve immensely. But again, thank y'all for the support. I'll catch y'all later. I'm out.